name is Joe Atkins. I'm a state representative from Inver Grove Heights. I was the chief author of the MNsure legislation in the House. To my left is my friend Senator Tony Lourey, who is the Senate chief author of the MNsure legislation in the Minnesota Senate. We're primarily here for simply availability, answering questions and concerns. The couple comments that I would have, and then Senator Lourey will have, is when I went into this, carrying this legislation, I had some pretty high expectations that it would drive up quality and drive down prices. That's what competition does. And this knocked my socks off. This was way beyond anything I ever expected in terms of improving the quality of healthcare insurance coverage here in Minnesota, as well as driving down prices. What Minnesota consumers will now know is that they will have the lowest health insurance rates of any state in the country. That's what this rate review confirmed for us today. It's what competition does. It's what we hoped for when we authored the legislation, and we're looking forward to seeing it go into place in October. And with that, I'll turn it over to my friend Senator Tony Lourey.
Thank you, Joe. And you know, I think I'd echo much of what's been said here. Some of the questions were regarding, you know, how did we get to this place? And I think it's really a testament to who we are here in Minnesota, a national leader in healthcare reform. Driving quality and value consistently for our constituents, our families, our individuals, and our small businesses. And having the lowest rates in the country is really a step forward, and it really, to me, highlights what it means if we actually set aside some of our differences and put our best foot forward and try to make the reforms contained in the Affordable Care Act actually work for people. And when we do that, this is the type of result that we can see. And so Minnesota, again, stands as a leader in the nation in bringing about meaningful reforms that make a difference in people's lives, and I couldn't be more proud. I mean, I guess I should say, too, as a caveat before the questions start flying, this rate review process really was private. We didn't get any advance notice beyond what you guys got, so we're still just absorbing this as well. So that caveat needs to be there before we start asking questions in case we go too deeply into the weeds.
And with that, we're comparing ourselves to other states and rates in other states, but here in Minnesota, we don't know if it's going to be more expensive to join this, to go on MNsure, than it is to keep the insurance you have now.
Well, each individual knows what they pay now. What they can look at now is what MNsure will offer. I think that the core facts that we used during the legislature, during the debate, is that 70% of the individual market will be under that 400% of federal poverty level and eligible for subsidies. So we have incredibly competitive rates, we have better value, we have different plans. The Affordable Care Act in the exchange building is insurance reform, and it reformed the products that are offered. That's why some of the real trouble. April was talking about the difficulty in apples-to-apples comparison. That's very, very real. We have different products on the market today that have better value for consumers. You know, 25% of the individual market was below a 60% actuarial value in the before the Affordable Care Act, and that's nothing that we did. That was the law of the land that comes into play because of the Affordable Care Act. And so the apples to apples is very difficult, but we have better value, better products at a really competitive rate. People can take a look. I mean, I think that that 25-year-old rather in the one region with the $90 56-cent plan, I mean, that's going to be very, very competitive with what they pay today.
You can go on e-insurance and get a policy for $50.
But what are they buying?
The products are very, very different.
And you're right, Pat, you can go on e-insurance and buy a product for $50, and you're buying a piece of crap. Pardon that, I don't know if we can print that, but but you're buying something that's not worth buying. It's if you go to a store and you buy a flannel shirt and it's falling apart, it's not worth paying the price for it. What we know is that when we buy a flannel shirt here in Minnesota, it's going to be the best flannel shirt, and it's going to be the most affordable one of anywhere across the country. That's what we're comparing ourselves against right now, is what products have been offered in South Dakota, what products have been offered in New York. In fact, one thing we just saw as we were going through the same materials that you have, you can buy a platinum plan here in Minnesota, which is a top flight plan, for less than the price of a bronze plan in South Dakota. That says something. That's a good plan. Take a look at what a platinum plan is and what that means. And when they talk about all these fancy percentages of actuarial values, all that means is how much is actually coming out of your pocket. How much money is coming out of your pocket in deductibles and co-pays, all those things that add up in addition to premiums. When you add all those things together, that's what we're comparing against, and that's where we got better prices than any other state in the country.
But you keep mentioning competition. Is as little as 2 companies enough competition in some counties?
You know, my concern, Mary, was whether we'd have, in different parts of the state, whether there'd be anybody that would put plans up. I was hoping for at least 1 plan in every county, and we've got 2 in every county across the state, and as I understand from reading the materials, 3 or more in, I believe it's 87% or 83% of the counties across Minnesota. That's pretty healthy competition.
It's lowest in the nation. We only know premiums in 17 states, right?
17 states, including places like New York. Literally millions and millions of folks across the country are being, California's in this group. So we're talking some really big states. I don't know, is Wisconsin in it yet? We literally are just, are they doing a health exchange? I'm guessing we'll start hearing from Wisconsinites who'd like to buy from Minnesota.
But I mean, we can't really say lowest in the nation because we don't know the rates in over half the states, right?
Well, we're waiting for them to file. My sense, based on the sort of competition that we had here, is that we're going to continue to lead even as more states come on board. But at least we've now set the bar. As Minnesota's Senator Lourey has been involved in this stuff for years and years, we've set the bar pretty high in Minnesota. And most states across the country have a heck of a time trying to compete with us.
You brought up a question I had. Excuse me. Can somebody from Wisconsin move into one of your districts today and sign up? Are you expecting things like that?
I expect folks are going to flock here from Wisconsin to buy from the MNsure Health Exchange. Actually, of all the, we've got so many great things going on in Minnesota. Our business climate is so much better, jobs climate is so much better, economic activity is so much better, and you just add on MNsure on top of it. I think a lot of folks are going to want to move here.
Now, you look at political speech, what do you think will happen here? Because there are tax credits that would cost the state here too. Are you going to see people from neighboring states come in and look for the SALT tax credit?
Tax credits are a federal tax credit, not a state.
Yeah, those apply anywhere across the country. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So do you expect people to move into Kerrick or someplace?
Well, I mean, you'd have to make it through the Nemadji State Forest in order to get from Wisconsin to Kerrick, and it's a treacherous path through there. But
is that one Paul Bunyan got heard of?
Paul Bunyan didn't level the Nemadji. But honestly, trends as far as whether this is going to induce somebody to actually move, I don't have any insight into whether it's going to induce people to move. But I do know that, one of the biggest, there's a couple of factors. People look at the schools and people look at the healthcare systems. When they decide where to put a business, a new business, when they decide where to move their family to raise their children, and Minnesota's always been ranked very, very high on the quality of life indicator, and this really keeps us in a really competitive place on that. And I think that families that are doing and businesses that are doing a really good look at the things that make a difference in people's lives, Minnesota's a really attractive option, and we've worked hard together in our historic collaborative way to ensure that we stay in that advantageous position.
Back to the question we've been asking all along. Your constituents often will be looking at the bottom line, how much they're paying, not just at what they get for the money. Do you think your constituents, the rest of Minnesota, will end up paying more on MNsure, even if they get more? Will they be paying more than they are today?
Now, the largest percentage of, most individuals have insurance through their employers. They're not going to be affected. So those buying on the individual market today versus in 2014, the biggest factor there is the federal tax subsidies, and they're going to be paying less than they do today for an enhanced product. It's better value for a better package.
And you know what, if I go to the grocery store and I'm walking out with a cart full of food and it's a lot more full and I can get it at the same price, I'm going to buy that product. I mean, I know health insurance coverage is pretty complicated, but when the way MNsure and the way the website's going to work, you're going to actually know what you're buying, which is a little bit unique, or a little bit different than what it used to be. And you're going to get a lot more product. You're going to get a lot more in your cart for the same price as what you'd be able to buy today. Moreover, you can't be turned down. You can't get to the checkout counter and have them turn you away. We've even got, I think there's one company I was reading in the materials that's going to rate without taking smoking into account. So if you are a smoker, statewide,
in every region,
every single county across Minnesota, if you're a smoker, you should probably be able to get coverage, I would imagine, that will be better coverage at a lower price than you're paying today.
And, you know, I think we're kind of starting to wrap up here, but I wanted to, a couple of questions ago, Joe actually worked in the flannel shirt. I wasn't sure how he was going to do that today. He didn't show up with his flannel shirt.
I'm bringing it,
but he worked it into one of his answers. I hope you guys caught that.
Thank you all very much. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
But he didn't buy that flannel shirt.